Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar, Managing Multiple Websites with Web Module 3.6. So this is a little bit of a preview of an update to Web Module that's going to be coming up shortly. Our main presenter today is going to be Jason Lewis, one of our technical integrators. I'm John Hornstein, I'm Module 4 CDO, and also joining us on the webinar today is Michael Gellner, Module 4 CTO. So creating a website for each audience. Many DAMs have multiple audiences, and that could be different departments within your organization, your partners, even different types of partners might be better served by having separate websites, different clients, and of course the public as well. And if you can customize the user experience for each of these sites, then it becomes a much easier to use for each audience if it's tailored to their specific needs. That way, each audience can interact with the assets in the way that's most appropriate for them. Having separate sites also allows you to target the branding for each audience. So you can customize how you present yourself to different audiences, again, whether it's, for example, internal partners, clients, or the public. And if you operate on an agency model, then you can also brand the sites specifically just for your clients as well. Typically, when you create a website for each audience, you would have separate folders that would contain all of the material for each site. There's a problem with that, though, which is that each folder needs to be maintained and upgraded individually. And any changes that you want to make for all of the sites, you would need to do one at a time in each of those folders. So really one folder per audience isn't the solution. But using the new multi-site feature in Web Module is the solution. It makes all of this much easier to manage. So managing multiple websites with Web Module 3.6. It's very easy to set up through configuration. So you can customize the user experience within one instance of Web Module using intuitive controls. You're not actually going in and editing the code or config files, for example. There's a single configuration interface. So changes that are common for all of the sites, those settings can be done from a single setup page. But then you can also change the settings for individual sites from their own setup pages. So having only one instance for all the audiences, it's much more efficient. It's a much more efficient way to manage the sites. You only need to maintain and update one folder, just the contents of one folder. And if you want to apply global changes to all the sites, it's very easy to do. You do that in one place. So some of the things that you can configure for each site in this way is the CSS. You can have separate CSS for each site. The images that are used to build the page, so things like logos, icons, and the other graphics that are part of the HTML of the page. As well as some of the DAM-related things like quick search, sorting, the upload settings that are available in Web Module now, record view sets. You can also enable and disable different features for each site, and we'll show a little bit of that, and other things as well that can be configured in this way. If you really need to completely break away from the structure of the Web Module is still highly customizable, and we can certainly talk to you about doing a Web Module customization for a completely radical remake of the Web Module. So we're going to turn it over now to Jason Lewis, and he's going to give a brief demonstration of how to configure for multi-site using Web Module 3.6.
Okay, can you see my screen okay? Hello, my name is Jason Lewis, and I'm an integrator with Module 4, as John mentioned. So I'm going to be demonstrating the multi-site capability by showing you 3 sites that I've created that are in addition to the base install of the Module 4 web module. So first I'm going to go over the out-of-the-box install, which is what you're seeing right here. I mean, this may look familiar too, but this is the web module just installed with all the stock functions. And what this does is it serves as the default website. So the values that are set up in this website would be the template values that would be created in any ongoing site past this, and you can use this site to globally make changes to all the sites, again, as your global template. And I wanted to also mention that for you who haven't seen the prior web module demo or are not familiar with the latest version of web module 3.5, that we've put setup capabilities from within the web module interface. So things that previously were configured through a static file can now be set up within the web module interface, and those changes are found of what we're doing with multi-site. The settings in that setup file are what we're changing on each individual site as well. So again, this is the master site. This is just a straight out of the box web module install. So let's go into menu briefly. I'm not talking about what all the settings are and what they all do, but just to be aware of the concept of the settings. So you've got a few different attributes in here that allow you to configure what web module is doing, how web module looks. And again, this all used to go through a configuration file, but now you have the ability, based on your user permissions, to go in there and make these changes. So again, all the settings that you're seeing in here would be configured for the base template for any additional websites that you make from here on. The first site that I want to take a look at that's based on going to be, again, one of 3 sites that's the internal site to our company. So based on URLs, and type it in, you're going to get to are looking at that is a variation of the template site. So as you can see right off, this site has a slightly different look and feel, so I've changed some graphic elements with the header and the color schemes, and just this is variable text that's in here, so this is demonstrating some of the differences. So I will log in and show you what the internals look like. So based on our internal site needs, we've got access to, for this particular company, all the catalogs and categories that are available. Looking at a setup that's in here, that some of the settings have the italicized inherit settings. So basically these are settings that can be reverted back to what was created in the original global template, or you can change these settings and make them unique to this individual site by itself. So, you know, things like record view sets and searching options can be easily configured to be individual for your site. So that was a quick look at the internal site. So let's go to something that would be somewhat different. So let's say our company sets up a partner site, and this would be for maybe a channel partner or a reseller or somebody access within our DAM, but very particular needs as far as they only wanted access or allowed access to their assets. As you can see, again, we've created a slightly different look and feel for the site. new headers, new variable text that's in here. So I'll log in as a partner. And internally, you can see also there's a slightly different layout change. We don't have slides around the individual assets. They're smaller. They may be ordered differently. But you'll notice also that the partner goes directly to the partner catalog, and we only see the partner categories that are relative to them. The search function has been simplified to just having a single field in there rather than having checkboxes in there to simplify the search, maybe making it similar to Google search, something like that. Advanced search, we can see that there's a fairly limited amount of fields that are being allowed to be searched in there, and this can all be set up to tailor it to the use of this. The last site that I wanted to demonstrate as far as the differences between them would be the public site. So say we have a company and we have our internal interface, but we also want to create a site that is where you can be reached via the web. We're obviously going to need some different capability. So maybe the first thing you noticed right off was after logging in, you're not prompted for a username and password, right? You're just going straight into the site with a predetermined user account that has predetermined permissions and abilities in here. So once again, slightly different look and feel that you have in here. Obviously, the global look and feel is similar to the internal site, same company, but you've got limited functionality. You don't have a whole lot of information in there. You've chosen a different record view set for this particular user and for the public site, so you can limit what information they get to see. The information would be most useful to them, and as well as the access to the public catalog and the public categories that are in there. So one of the things that I can also demonstrate if we go back to maybe the public site, excuse me, the partner site. Take a quick look at an attribute that's in there, and then I can make a global change, and you can see how to manage attributes globally across all the sites if you needed to do that. So for instance, this may not be all that functional. For instance, you can take note of what's going on over here with the categories. So then if I was to go back to our master site, and log in as the administrator of the master site, and go into the setup. So again, not a real useful example, but just to show you what's going on. Say I wanted to turn off the catalog sector. And say I also wanted to turn off showing the category tree. Again, maybe not extremely useful examples, but something that'll show the concept of what's going on. So then if I was to go back into the part, you can see that that's been eliminated from the partner site. So this is just to demonstrate the ability that from that one global site, you have the ability to control aspects, all the sites, and however many that you, so you're not doing it across multiple sites at one at a time, basically. Now you could go and turn this off for this individual site. Since we've set that one parameter, you can turn that back on. Oops, excuse me. So that's really quickly what you can do with all three of the sites, and some basic parameters of settings. Mostly that what you've seen there was me changing settings within the setup menu. As John mentioned, you also have the ability to change graphical elements. You have the ability to change style sheets and layout properties of the site, and you really have an open, as much as you want to customize each site, you can, and that may be something that we can help you out with, but you do have that capability. So hopefully this gives you a pretty decent overview of what the concept is, and I'd like to turn it over to Michael to answer any questions that anybody might have, or if he's got anything else that he would like me to demonstrate, we can do that.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Yeah, so this is John, and we're just going to finish up with a couple of more slides, and then we're going to throw it open to questions. So you can actually start asking your questions now. I see we've got a few already, and then we'll start answering them in just a moment. So availability and pricing of Web Module 3.6. It will require Cumulus 8.6 or newer. Web Module 3.6 will be available later next month. Included with Web Module 3.6 will be the ability to create up to 2 sites using this multi-site function. There is an add-on that's called the Corporate Multi-Site Add-on, and that will allow you to create really up to 5 sites, and that add-on is $995 or 995 euros. We also have the Agency multi-site add-on, and that will allow you to set up an unlimited number of additional sites, and that's $24.95 either dollars or euros. So just before we go to questions, just a couple of quick words about Module 4. We are the world's largest Canto partner, founded in 2003 with offices in San Francisco and Berlin. We have over 100 clients in marketing, retail, entertainment, higher education, and government. We are also a Cumulus developer, so what that means is that we create products like the web module that you've just been seeing, as well as customizations of Cumulus as well. We are also a partner of Woodwing, which is a leading multi-channel publishing tool. Other products from Module 4, I'm not going to describe them now, but you can go to our site, learn more about them. Also, everyone who registered for the webinar will be receiving an email with a link to a PDF of this presentation. So you'll be able to click on the link that you're seeing here to get information about our other products. And there will also be a link to the video of this presentation as well. So now we can throw it open for questions. Let's see, we've got a couple already. So Sam is asking, can you edit CSS from within Web Module? So Michael, I'll defer to you.
So there is no specific editor or anything. It's just a plain CSS file that you can edit, or you can add your own CSS files.
Okay. Yeah, and I think the key is that you can apply CSS files for each individual site. as opposed to having to use the same CSS for all of the sites. So that's one of the advantages of the multi-site setup that we have.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the same for like all the image files and graphics files. So you can really have different image files. The good thing is you only need to add the files that you want to replace for each site. So that makes it very easy to maintain that and keep track of everything.
Okay, thanks. Nate is asking, I missed the 3.5 demo, and we're running an even older web module. What are the key differences between 3.5 and 3.6?
Well, first of all, if you missed the demo of 3.5, on our homepage there is a list of all the webinars we did and all the demos. So yeah, if you missed any of those, then this is the place to check it out and have a look at them. And all of the recordings are available on that page as well, so that you can catch up. Sorry. And okay, so the key difference between 3.5 and 3.6 is exactly this multi-site feature. Since we said this is a very valuable feature, since well, more and more of our customers, even so most of them start out with just one site really, it becomes more and more common, and I think it's a very important, good thing to really address different users, maybe different departments, external people, or really hosting different sites for different customers, so that it really does make sense to have different sites. And since there was really a growing demand for this, that we said this is an important feature that we're going to address in its own version.
Okay. The next question, and this is from Aaron. What is the maximum number of sites that can be configured this way?
There is no technical restriction on that number. I mean, besides the licensing, of course. But if you have the agency license, then it's really unlimited. I mean, for practical reasons, if you wanted to host like thousands of sites, it might at some point be unpractical to really go over the different settings for all of them. So at some point, it's not going to be practical anymore. But I mean, definitely dozens, or if you wanted really also hundreds, would be possible. Technically, again, there is no restriction. Each site has its own settings file and specific files, but these files are rather small. I mean, there is not that many settings. So again, technically there is no issue having a lot of settings for a lot of different sites.
Okay, thank you. Zach asks, what if I want to integrate web module with my existing company website?
So, sorry, I didn't get that. There was some noise there.
What if I want to integrate web module with my existing company website? So that sounds like that would be a customization.
Right. So I mean, if that's referring to like changing the branding or the look and feel of the web module to match the existing site, that would be a customization that either could be done by us or by a designer you have on staff, and then this could base as the basis for the web module for different sites that you want to offer based on your corporate design.
Right, and you can also have a link in your site that goes to the web module that looks just like your site. So I guess there's a couple of things. One is, if you want like the search box on the home page and the results to come up somewhere else, that's more of a customization. But we could also make just the branding of the web module look more like your corporate site, so that it's seamless to people, even though they go to another page and now they're actually at the web module.
Actually, you skipped one question from Steve. He was asking the change that Jason did with the category tree, if that only applied to the partner page, to the partner site. I'm sorry. So no, that was exactly what we wanted to show there. The change that Jason did with the category tree, not showing the category tree. This was one change that he made, but it does really apply to all the sites that Jason has created. So that's the important thing. Even so, the page, the setup page, does always look exactly the same, except for the little title that tells you you're right now changing the settings for this particular site. It does really affect different things. So if you're changing the setup for one site, it really does only apply to this specific site. If you're changing the setup for the core site, for the master site, if you will, then this does really affect all the other sites. So that makes it possible if you really want to quickly, for example, globally change the sort order, then this is really just one click away, and you're affecting, well, dozens of sites if you have that many, right? So that besides being able and not having to maintain several sites, the one big feature here is definitely that any global changes directly affect all of the sites immediately. So you don't have to go from site to site and then you forget one site or you make a mistake or something. This is really just as if you were working with one site only. But in reality, it's as many sites as you need it to be. So that makes it very powerful.
Okay, thank you. And then Victor is asking, why is Cumulus 8.6 required for Web Module 3.6?
There is some technical improvements that Cantor has done that are not directly related to the multi-site feature, but that we want to take advantage of to further improve Web Module. And that's why it does really depend on 8.6.
Okay, and then Peter is asking, can you control which catalogs appear on the left?
On the left, yes. So the catalogs appearing on the left are the same that you see on the select catalog page after logging in, if it's being displayed, right? That's also one thing you can set up. But this is controllable. And there is two things. And in Cumulus, you can set up, of course, the permissions to allow certain users to see certain catalogs. Additionally, in the web module, you can really limit the number of catalogs that are available as well. It still obeys the permissions, right? So if you set up in the web module that 4 catalogs are available, but a certain user only has permission on one of them, he still will only see that one catalog. Right, so the permissions are still obeyed, but this way you can make sure that your company might have 20 different catalogs, but on the web you only want to make available certain catalogs, then you can limit that here. Another thing that you can do there, you can make more catalogs available, but you can automatically open only maybe 2 or 3, which are the standard catalogs, so that the users do not have to choose them, but still give them the ability to switch to another catalog. So there is a lot of flexibility there and a lot of different combinations that you can do. And again, the goal is really to find the best combination of settings for each particular audience so that you don't have to compromise and that you don't have to ask certain users to behave a certain way to adapt to the site, but instead adapt the site to the audience. And I think that does also make total sense, besides that your internal users are probably more like power users, but you do also have more control over your internal users, right? You can train them, you can guide them and show them what's the best way to make use of a certain feature. With external users, especially if they're really web users and not partners or companies you're working with, you have no control whatsoever over them. So you want to make sure that the site is as easy as possible for them to use.
Great, thank you, Michael. The next question is from Carrie, and he or she is asking, what defines a unique site? Is it by URL or IP or something else?
There is different ways this can be done. the easiest and yeah, best approach really is to be using different domain names. It's yeah, you could be using IP addresses, but of course that does have disadvantages of its own. So really, the best way is to use different domain or subdomain names. Yeah, I mean, especially if you're hosting sites for different customers of yours, then yeah, definitely also it makes sense that you have a different domain name or even different subdomain name for each of those customers, so that really the custom name is part of that URL. And this way, it's always very clear if the user looks at the browser at the URL. Which site he is on. So it always, the URL matches the site, the visuals, the user interface that you're logging into. One of the advantages there is that this does not depend on any permissions or login. So if it really depended on an individual user or permissions, then this would mean that the user first has to log in before we know which site to present, right? If we are using the URL, then already the landing page can be customized specifically for a particular audience.
Okay, thank you. So are there any other questions? Looks like we've covered the ones in our queue. All right, if you think of anything that we haven't answered today, please feel free to contact us directly. You can always send an email to info@modular4.com, or you can go to our website and get the local phone number, either of our European office in Berlin or our U.S. office in the San Francisco area. So thank you all for joining us today. And again, within a few days, everyone who registered for this webinar, actually whether people attended or not, will be getting an email that contains a link to a PDF of this presentation as well as a video of the webinar. Thank you all very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.